decided to hop on, chop it up with individual. See what's the talk of the town is going down the one on the curve. You heard me. Let me just set this up now. Here in Los Angeles, it is a beautiful, nice, warm day. But yet again, I would say perfect day to enjoy yourself, but obviously not if you're in the southern portion of at least California, Los Angeles area, right? Because it still be hectic out there in the streets. You know, you don't want to be getting caught up in the dysfunction that's happening. You know, because it seems like now everybody just be getting targeting. Shit's crazy out there. What's cracking like a little rich? Yeah, it should be hectic out there in the streets now. You know, I got to see it firsthand. Shit is crazy. Shit is crazy, bro. But we good, we good. You know, a little desmadre here and there, but so far it's all gravy. You know, just people wilding out. A few businesses by the highway got fucked up. Luckily, they didn't hit the highway. You see the fools who rammed his motorcycle onto the cops? Yeah, that's so stupid. Like, bro, what the fuck was like? To me, it just blows my mind. It's like, what were you looking to accomplish by doing that, though? Like, what exactly was? It's like these motherfuckers don't think, bro. It's like, why? Why would you do that? Like, why? Like, what were you looking to get out of that? Well, I bet fools feel bad today. Oh, like because he got arrested? He had an Argentinian flag, no? I think he had an Argentinian flag wrapped around his neck like a cape. What's good, bro? Just got out of class. My professor was talking about everything going on when he was heading to school. I saw the bunch of police. Yeah, shit was crazy, bro. You know, it's just that Donald Trump is, well, he's breaking the law, first of all, because this is breaking the law. He himself said it, right? He must have forgot that he said it, right? But he said it. And he just doesn't care. You know, this is a who's tougher match that's going on. Is Gavin Newsom against Trump? Like, who's tougher, right? Like, Gavin Newsom saying, bring it on, you know? And Trump's like, oh, you don't think I'll bring it on? And it's like, both of you guys are fuckheads. Like, unless you guys are going to get in the ring or in a cage match or some shit, just shut the fuck up, right? Because the ones that are paying the price is the people down here. You know? The people that live in these areas, they're the ones that are paying the prices, not you fucking goofballs that are your fucking big-ass homes, you know, safe and sound. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy. Because, like, Trump, they just told you they don't need the National Guard. Why the fuck do you still send the National Guard? Because I'll do whatever the fuck I want. Now, he literally said that. He said he was going to send troops now everywhere, right? And that, and when they asked him why would he do that, he said, well, people are trying to defy the orders. He said that he'll send troops, right? And he said that, and they said, well, what will give probable cause? He said, whatever he feels is probable cause. I'm like, damn, savage. No, your majesty, this is not fucking Rome or someplace like that. You're not a king, bro. There's laws, my boy. You got to follow the laws. So no, it's not whatever's probable cause. It's whatever's written in law, you goofball. Bro, that fool thinks he is the law. That shit is crazy. Bro thinks he could be writing his own laws now. And you know, here's the fucked up part about it. I didn't want to sound like one of these individuals that comes and always talking shit on Trump and hating on Trump. You know, I wanted that motherfucker to succeed, right? Because, you know, hey, bro, if he succeeds, we all succeed. You know what I mean? I wanted him to succeed, but fuck, that fool makes it so difficult. That fool makes it so difficult to fucking, like, you know, to not be on his ass. You know what I mean? And you know, and I know he has a bunch of supporters, but that's only because they hate the Democrats so much, bro, that they just fucking, whatever comes out of his mouth is like gold. But not because they actually agree with him or fucking think he's the best, but because they fucking hate the Democrats, and that's the only reason why. You know what I mean? Because remember, when it comes to tough times, it's a lot easier to get people to jump on board to your ideology when you're targeting a specific group of individuals. Whenever it's tough times, it's what happened. It's how Hitler got, Germany to see his perspective, right? When it came to the Nazis and the World War II, right? Germany was in a tough predicament due to World War One, right? At the end of the war, they got left in poverty, right? And they still had to pay the damages and the bills of all these other countries, right? Which was billions and billions of dollars, right? And their own country was fucked up, right? There was no fucking work. There was no, you know what I mean? So the little bit of money that people had, they were getting taxed because they had to pay, these other countries, right? So people were mad. They were upset. They're working all the damn time and getting paid shit, right? So tough times, right? And then this guy now comes along and blames, these people and blames the Jews. And then these individuals are like, hell yeah, it is these fools' fault. Right? Because when you're struggling, when you're upset, it's so easy to fucking fall for people's fucking rhetoric. Right? Especially when they're targeting something that you can't relate to or that's different from you, right? It's easy to jump on board. It is these motherfuckers' fault. Like, goofball. Look in the mirror. What's going on in Dashpool? Whoopsie. What that was? Do you remember the? Yeah, serio. No, those were worse though. Those were worse. How you been? We've been good. What are your thoughts on fools who think that just because you're from the same neighborhood as them, you're entitled to pay their bills and get what? Who says that though? Who does that? I never had a homie ask me to pay their bills or nothing like that. That's punking you, and fuck that. You ain't gonna let no homie punk you. Is this fascism or people over exaggerating about it? People like to throw a lot of these terms around, though. I do see it that he's being a totalitarianism, fascism, fucking, what? Oh no, there was one on the news, right, that said that he wanted to. What did he say? He wasn't illegal though, but he said that he wanted to make it like the Soviet Union. I think that's the example he gave. Like, we should make America like the Soviet Union, I think is what he said, and I'm just like, what the fuck? The Soviet Union, man. Which obviously that was not gonna work. And it's like, bro, if that would have worked, bro, it would still be around. I hate Trump. Nah, do you really hate Trump though? Nah, Trump is not worthy of hate. I almost feel bad for the guy. Because he's such a goofball, he just doesn't even know it. That fool really does think he's great. You get the chance to freestyle? Nah, bro. I've been busy with all kinds of this madre. Especially now what's going on. It's been hectic. Yeah, the Ronnie Kings. Yeah. Whoa, what's crying like it, Mr. Pasa? Trump became the new. That was Dark Sidious. Fucking Trump. Yeah, was in a fucking. That's where he got his ideas from. Nah, see, but Dark Sidious was actually like smart, bro. That fool actually, he could actually plot things and plan things. Donald Trump never plans anything, bro. Not even his kids. Nah, seriously, that fool doesn't plan anything, bro. Like, he doesn't really have an agenda. It's kind of like when he wakes up, he kind of does whatever he feels like he's, doing that day. So he doesn't really tell his team anything, right? Like they don't know exactly what he's gonna do until he does it, right? And then they come and they try to clean it up or they try to explain what exactly he's doing, right? But that's how he works, though. And I'm not even hating on him. That's exactly how he works, bro. If you look at the interviews that they had done, the people that used to work for him, right, meaning when he was in his first term, right, it's like they said that they never knew what he was gonna do or did until he would tell them. That they had to give a press conference, and they're just like, "What the fuck?" That shit would catch them off guard. Why do you think he fucking replaced like everybody and their mother his first term like 6 times? He kept firing people and putting different people because they would tell him, "Hey, sir, we can't do that though. That's against the law. You're fired next." He wants people to just tell him yes. He wants people to agree with him, not to tell him no, that they can't. You know what I mean? And where's a perfect example of that's exactly what has to happen? Take example. He put Linda McMahon as the Treasury of Education, right? So he put her in charge, who she's not qualified in, but fuck it, he put her. Let's give her a chance, right? So then they had a hearing, right, where they're questioning her, and it was the most goofiest thing I have ever seen. She was fucking clueless, right, on what was going on, including on her own report that she had turned in, right? But and one of the questions that she was asked is that when it comes to teaching education, right? Would you say teaching that Biden won the presidency election, right? And he was the president. She would say, "Well, we would have to teach it accurately." And it's like, what the fuck does that mean? Teach it accurately? Like, the question is, did Biden win the presidency? Yes or no? And she said, I'll have to get back to you on that. We have to teach it accurately. But she would refuse to answer yes or no. And it's like, how the fuck do you not, or how are you not able to answer the most basic question? Did Biden win the presidency? Yes or no? And she didn't answer because she knew if she said yes, her papi chulo, Trump, was going to get mad at her and probably fire her. You know what I mean? So she didn't answer the question. She gave the runaround. And it's like, damn, bro, to that great length that these motherfuckers will go to that for that bastard. And it's like, that's insane, bro. That's insane. Like this, he won. He was the president, bro. No, I never lost anything in my life. Bro, no. See, what happened was that I went on vacation for 4 years, and I felt bad for Sleepy Joe, and I told him, hey, go right ahead. I gave him the keys. Then when I came back, I told him, thanks a lot. It's my turn. But I didn't lose, all right? I went on vacay. That was funny. What are your thoughts on RFK Jr.? RFK Jr.? Yeah, I don't know. That fool has flip flopped so much, bro. It's not even funny. I don't even know where he actually stands in anything no more, right? Because he's flip flopped so much that it's like one day he could be for something, the next day he could be not. He was a bandwagon jumper. He'd be like, I am the Senate and his treason. Yeah, bro. If people disagree with him, it's like, hey, bro, that's a democracy, homie. That's what separates us from some other countries, right? You're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to critique the president. If you're not down with what the president's saying and doing, you're entitled to critique him. This is what makes America great, It's how it's always worked with every other fucking president, right? But this guy doesn't like when people don't agree with him, right? So he'll fucking force people to fucking like him or agree with him, And it's like, what the fuck? Nah, homie. It's not how it works right here. Then you're no different than China. Always critiquing China, but there he is acting like that fool, like their prime minister. Trump goes based off of life like a teenage girl. Yeah, he goes off of his ego, bro. But you're right. Palpatine was very smart. Yeah, Trump just can't plan that far ahead, bro. That fool's he's just not built like that. Shout out, come on. Hey, what's good, Death Row? Smarter than Trump, even though it's. Saca la bolsita, la tuya primero, carnal. Ya me la chingué. That's how I feel about. That's how I feel about Snoop. Who switched up so much, I wouldn't even be surprised if he was at the Diddy party. Serio, he probably was. A lot of those fools were probably were. But see, Diddy is just like, see, people like Diddy though, they're smart though. They weren't able to keep this shit under wrap for that long if they were just so sloppy, right? Meaning like him and like Epstein, right? They're not as sloppy as people think that they are. These fools are intelligent. That's why they were able to get away with it for so long, right? They know who to tell, like who to invite into their fucking the crazy world that they create, right? They know who to invite and who not to invite, right? So I feel like Diddy would throw the parties, right? And he would select who like he'll be able to read people and based off of that he would select who he was gonna invite for these fucking crazy activities, right? Because if he just was inviting it, then somebody was gonna spill the beans a long time ago. You know what I mean? This shit would have hit the fans if he would have told the wrong person or invited the wrong person, right? But he knew who to invite because he knew that those people were most likely just like him, right? So that's why I feel like everybody that was around him, I don't believe that they knew because he knew who to pick, who to select, you know. But then what he failed to realize is that eventually some of these people are not as delusional as you, right? So they start to disconnect with the delusion, right? And then they start spilling the beans, right? Even though they were a part of the mix as well, right? So they're just as sick, but they turned over a new leaf, whatever the fuck. you know, same with Epstein, right? Still had to run a business, right? But he knew who was like, just by small talk or how men joke around, like that, he was able to tell, okay, who's down with the funk and who isn't down with the funk. Like, all right, this was somebody I can invite, with the woo. Like, oh, this person's a fucking. He'll probably be telling on it. Like, nah. You know what I mean? That's how they're able to get away with it for so long. Had everybody on board. Snoop says, hanging at high schools, getting at them young, on only in California. Yeah, you know what? But see, that's the thing. That was a concept that back then a lot of people seen as um, okay, and the reason why they seen it as okay is that a lot of their parents or a lot of their elders, like let's say within their family, had that dynamics to them, right? Like their grandfather was older than their grandmother by like 10, 15 years, right? But see, the difference within their grandparents and now, right, is that back then people didn't have the knowledge that we have nowadays, right? People weren't aware of the behaviors as much as the knowledge that we have nowadays, right? So back then, these individuals, even though it's common sense, right? That's a kid, that's an adult, right? We didn't realize the damage or the manipulation. We didn't have an understanding of none of that, right? So that's why people seen it as acceptable, right? Because, well, look, they're able to get pregnant, so they must be women, right? They look like women, so they must, you know what I'm saying? But that's because they had the lack of knowledge, the lack of education, right? But now, with the science that we have now, right, and all the information that we have now we see that it's inappropriate because of these reasons, because they're being manipulated, because that part of the brain hasn't developed yet. You get what I'm saying? So they didn't have the education that we have now, right? So it's a lot different seeing it like, oh, well, look at my grandparents, and like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, they didn't know, but see, now you know why shit is the way that it is, and you still choose to go and do it, knowing damn well that it's wrong. That's the difference. How can I say? People learn from their mistakes, pues. That's SPM shit. Serio. That is a line that SPM would probably drop. What was? What personality disorder would you say that Palpatine? Oh, he's definitely a psychopath. Definitely a psychopath. That fool didn't give a fuck about nobody. Even his apprentices were all disposable. He was a bona fide psychopath. Father Frank Lucas, mid-movie American gangster. It's catching. What's one crazy conspiracy theory you believe in? Well, I don't believe in conspiracy theories, um, because the ones that I have seen turned out to be true, right? So they weren't really conspiracy theories. Like for me, a conspiracy theory is more like the ones that are not plausible, right? Compared to the ones that are plausible, like when they said, "Oh, the CIA was secretly drugging, people." Okay, well that's plausible. That's believable. I could see, that is possible that one of these individuals could be, drugging people without their knowledge. Yeah, so it makes sense, right? Compared to, oh, all the rich people hang out in the woods and they kill kids and they drink their blood because it makes them younger. See, that's not plausible. Like when you're talking about magic and witchcraft and shape shifting and all this and that, that to me is like that's fantasy. That's fucking fictional. That's delusion. You get what I mean? See, it has to be plausible, bro. Like so. But see, everybody puts the conspiracies all in the same bucket, so it's kind of like, well, see, I don't really consider it a conspiracy if it's actually plausible. I only consider it a conspiracy when it's not plausible, like fucking, that the government secretly performs witchcraft. Like, yes, bro, they have powers, right? Like, bro, if these motherfuckers had powers, bro, my boy, we would have already all been enslaved, homie. Or tortured or doomed or whatever the fuck. Especially how people's egos are. Like they want to give them powers, right? But then they give them the most stupidest tasks. Like you're saying they have the ability to do this and that, but their plan is to trick celebrities into tricking us to and it's like, what the fuck? Like, do I believe the government hides shit from the people? Fuck yeah, I do. Do I believe every other fucking bullshit that's out there? No. Wasn't Mary young when she was with Jesus? Nah, but see, we don't talk about that though. See, we don't speak on that though, bro. You messing it up, bro. You're messing it up. Asking too many questions. I know. I wanted the same thing too, bro. So you telling me her and Joseph were chilling by themselves, nobody around them, and she got pregnant, and it's a miracle? If I told you that me and some chick were in a room and she got pregnant, nobody would fucking believe me. They'll say that that I'm the father. That's what people would say. They would. Don't give me that shit. You would. But them, they get the pass because, I don't know, because it says. So I guess. See, we can question you. We can't question them. All right. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, are you comparing to Joseph? Like, why? Did you know him? Exactly. You don't know me. You didn't know him. But you don't believe him. You ain't gonna believe me. Get out of here. See, and that's why I don't like diving into those topics, right? Because it's just I have a million questions that nobody's willing to answer. Right? It always ends with, nah, bro, you just gotta have faith. Yeah, but you're not answering the question though. That way, some people still try to justify child marriage. I know in the world, yeah, which is fucking insane, bro, insane. The fact that they're attracted to kids, right, in itself is just mind blowing, right? Just like, you don't see nothing wrong with that, huh? Strange. Some people say SPM accusations are false and he's falsely convicted. Thoughts on that? No, he's legit. See, the ones that say that though are the ones that don't even look into the case, right? They have absolutely like never took the time to actually, view the case for themselves, right? Just because they're in denial so much just because they have some type of connection to his music, right? Maybe it brings back some childhood memories. Maybe it's, I don't know, right? It's their song, whatever the fuck, right? And they just don't want to feel like they're supporting somebody like that, right? So it just makes it a lot easier to be able to hear the music if they're just stuck in denial. Like, no, what he did was legit shit. He got convicted. He's convicted. No, but people have been wrongly convicted before. Yeah, back then, right? When there was no forensics and you just went based off of people's words. I know, right? But there was all kinds of evidence against SPM, and I mean all kinds of evidence. It wasn't just people think it was just a testimony of the child. Like, no, there was all kinds of evidence against that motherfucker, right? And when people lie, like, oh, you're acting like if they just went off of a testimony. Like, no, bro. As a matter of fact, most prosecutors already know that they have to have a smoking gun. That's why they don't just like to fucking take people just based off of they have a witness, right? They need more than just a witness, right? Because they know that the witness could be questioned, right? They know that that's not going to hold up in court. That's why whenever they take somebody, when he's convicted is because they have more than just the fucking witness, right? Well, how can you explain your DNA being right here if you know what I mean? Oh, well, I can't explain that. Well, then, you want me to believe you? You can't. And it's like, see, I can understand when it's somebody of status, right? That people are, because governments have done coups, right? Try to paint people as guilty, right? To enforce their agenda, right? But that's somebody when it's somebody of status, right? When it's somebody who's high up there when we're talking about in status. But SPM, like, why would all these individuals risk their jobs, their freedom, their careers, and money, right? Because it costs people, you got to pay people off. Why would they risk all of that to wrongly convict SPM? Well, who the fuck was SPM, bro? Nobody fucking. Don't get me wrong, SPM, people know who he is, right? But not like that, bro. He's not no Tupac. He's not no fucking Obama. He's not no Mike Tyson. He's not no fucking LeBron James. He was SPM, bro. You get what I mean? So it's like, why would they fucking plot against SPM? Like, if the fool was doing like that much. Like, the hell? They gonna risk their careers, their freedom, and all of that. Right? Because to wrongly convict somebody, you have to have a lot of people on board onto your fucking scheme, bro. Gotta be paying all kinds of people off, right? Because there's gonna be questions that are gonna be asked, right? You gotta have people on board. You gotta pay them, and you gotta pay them handsomely, right? Like, if I'm risking my job, what I normally get paid, then the amount that I'm receiving back in return has to be higher than my what I make monthly. You know what I mean? So it has to be pretty. We're talking a pretty good, decent chunk of in order for me to stay quiet. Right? So you have to pay all these people off, and for what? To wrongly convict this individual? Well, who is he? You get what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I know it has happened to people, bro, but SPN? Just some random individual from the street corner? No, it happens to people of status. Not fucking this guy. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, people, just because they see that some shit has happened, or there's been times that, conspiracies turned out to be true, right? Where they have, digged around individuals, right? But now, just because those turn to be true, that doesn't mean that now that they do it to everybody, or just everybody, that would be the for everybody. Like, no, you can't compare those individuals to those. It's got to make sense at the same time. There would have to be reason, because, like I said, people just don't do shit for absolutely no reason. There has to be a reason behind it, and a strong one too, right? If you're risking so much, it's got to be a strong reason. So why would they fucking frame him? You know what I mean? His fucking case, wasn't even like televised or nothing like that. Like it's like it was no big, fiasco for them to be like, hey, the people are mad. We got to charge somebody. So let this fool take the fall. You know what I mean? It was not. It was nothing like that. Shit, there's people that didn't even know he was locked up. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, like, bro, you gotta make it make sense, though. What do you think about flat Earth conspiracy theory? See, I don't really believe that those people actually believe that the Earth is flat, right? I think it has to do more with people not trusting government, people believing that government lies to us. It does, just not about everything, right? But there's certain individuals that just have trust issues. They're paranoia. Maybe they have a paranoia personality disorder. You know what I mean? Um, and they just don't realize it, right? But there's people out there that are very, very paranoid, and they feel like the government is always up to no good or plotting on the people, and and there's always some agenda, right? And I feel like because they feel like the government is lying and has these agendas, right? That it makes them a lot. It makes it a lot easier believing shit like the Earth is flat. The government has been lying to us. It was never a sphere. This is all part of their agenda. But it always revolves around the government lying to us, not specifically about them actually believing that the Earth is flat, right? But because they would run and be like, "You think the government's telling you the truth? You think the government?" But it all, they always fall back on the lies that the government tells. So my whole thing is that I feel like they just believe it just because they believe that the government is plotting and liars, right? Not so much that maybe that they actually really do believe that the Earth is flat, but more that they believe that the government are lying or plotting. You get what I mean? Like, yes, has the government fucked around and done scandalous shit to the people without their knowledge? Yes, but there was always a motive behind it. If you ever look at all the shit that the government had ever did without actually telling the people, and then it was released later on, right? You can always see the pattern of motive. There was always motive behind it. And sadly, it always revolved around money, right? Or producing something, to get the results in which they wanted, right? With maybe some toxic gas, maybe some drugs or whatever the fuck, right? But to be able to use to further their agenda in whatever agenda they had planned, right? And most likely it revolved around resources meaning money, But there was always a motive drive behind it, right? It wasn't just done because they fucking felt like doing it, you know. If you say, see, if it would be like somebody that is like actually someone that people listen, like if they were to be saying this about Martin Luther King or Cesar Chavez or Gandhi or somebody like that, Well, I don't know, Gandhi could be questioned, but but like a political figure, activist, somebody whose word holds weight, right? Who's, I guess, standing in the way of your agenda, whatever it may be, right? Somebody who a lot of people idolize and follow, right? If they were to be doing it to like these individuals who's standing in your agenda, right, and now you're trying to pin this on them, then I could see why some people might question and whatever, right? So it's like, okay, now I'm not saying that I'll believe the conspiracy, right? But I'll be like, okay, I'll look into it, right? Because who knows, it might be true, right? This person does, his word does hold weight, and he is standing in these people's way. So I don't know. I'll investigate. Let me see. Right? Compared to like, well, who the fuck is this guy? All right, ladies and gentlemen, my network is over. We got to get back to it. It was good talking to you guys, and we out.